When I was a kid, I never wanted to be normal. I never wanted to be normal, I always wanted to be different. Oh, by Joe, I've got that, didn't I? Alexander Reid is sitting here right now. I'm quite a fun guy. The Reidinator. When I say the magic words, Prince Adam turns into He-Man. The Reidinator, he's crazy.
You're not supposed to fight with emotion in the cage. Is that true, or you disagree?
Absolutely, but I do. Imagine you're a drug addict, like crack cocaine. That's how I saw fame. And same with Katie Price. It's pretty intense and it's pretty good for a bit, but then there's a real steep drop and it's pretty horrific. I truly did love her. I have to ask myself that question many times. You know, why? She was so horrible to you. I see interviews now, I'm like, what? You fool, Alex Reid. I've been portrayed to be somebody I'm not. And I feel that hurts my family. If you wear women's clothes and you're a man, you're a transvestite. I like, hands up, I enjoy it, I've had some fun. It's not been much fun lately because it's, every time I do it, I seem to get in trouble. And I could make lots of money selling stories. I don't want to do that anymore, I've sold my soul. This is entertainment. Are you not entertained? That's what it's about, win the crowd. I see myself winning all that I seek. I see myself reaching the highest of peaks, for the universe brings prosperity to me. And from this day forward, fortune follows me.
I have been a fan of Alex Reid ever since 2006, when I saw him get up from the crowd in Manchester Arena and jump into the cage and fight. This is after he had been drinking champagne and was there really to enjoy the spectacle. And this says a lot about who Alex is, and it's why we named this show Win the Crowd, because Alex is the consummate performer, whether in the cage or on the red carpet or dating supermodels. I believe Alex loves, craves, needs attention. And I think there's something beautiful about that. And I think he's a man that will always be trying to figure out the balance in his life of that attention and then living his life. And we pretty much covered everything in this episode. We talked about his fighting career, about how he didn't make it into the UFC, about what it's like to date Jordan and his ups and his downs, and his following relationship with yet another supermodel, and of course his cross-dressing and his alter ego known as Roxanne, and all of the ups and downs and some of the trouble it's gotten him into. And he's back fighting in Bellator here in the UK. And it's a beautiful thing to see. The people I talk to behind the scenes at London Shoot Fight say it doesn't get much tougher than Alex Reid. Those are words from James the Colossus Thompson, and I know that's true. He trains at London Shoot Fight, where they don't play around. And I think we captured the essence of who Alex is in this episode. It's uncut, it's raw, but it's all there. And I think you can appreciate the man that he is after spending the time here with him. And that's what London Real is all about. We want to show you the humans that exist, not the media profiles and not what you think they're all about. But this is the real story, and this is who Alex really is. So sit back and enjoy. Don't judge, but listen to the man and listen to what he says. And I know you're really going to enjoy this episode. You know, a lot of people ask me about why I do London Real and why for 5 years now I've strapped myself into the guest chair and spoken with some of the greatest minds in the world. Well, I do it because I'm searching for a certain truth. I'm searching for something great about them that can inspire me most of all, and then you and everyone else in the world. I'm looking for people that have gone through struggles, that have come out the other side, and that have won some and lost some, but they keep on fighting. And that's what London Real is all about, and that's what the Academy is all about, which is a group of 1,000 people around the world that get together and push each other to become the best version of ourselves, to achieve goals, to be accountable, and to really rise up and get success. And we do that through live events, our private social network, premium content, and live calls every week and every month with me. And it's a beautiful thing, and it's what the Academy is all about. And here's a little bit of video about what's inside the Academy.
The entrepreneurial journey, it can be a lonely road. I push myself in so many areas, but you know, you can't do it all yourself.
The thing about the Academy is, it's like, look, you have the ideas, you have the ability, you have the skill, and you have the sort of ambition for yourself. But when you have a group of people pulling you forward, it's so important.
Accountability is what's missing from most of the programs or any gurus or any internet mentor that I had before.
I wanted to get some accountability. I wanted to make myself accountable to a group, to you.
The reason we started the Academy is because I felt like we were doing these amazing talks, like we'd have a Peter Sage episode or a Dan Pena episode or a Kala or someone, and you get super inspired, and then YouTube stops, and then you go back to your life and you don't make any changes. And it was just like, it felt like, what are we doing? If you're designing your life right, the good times are now. And in a few years, you'll look back and say, wow, that was amazing.
The thing about the Academy is it has so many different sort of layers to it. I think your web seminars are awesome. The way you broke it down and the style of your teaching is pretty awesome.
I like the feed. When I have to motivate myself, I kind of look at others struggling and getting over those struggles. So I actually follow daily the feed.
Best feature would be the sort of Facebook aspect of it, the social media aspect of it, as in creating a profile with your goals, your dreams.
So everyone's on the same vibe, and we may be at different stages in our journeys, but everyone's on the same page at the end of the day. Everyone's really trying to push themselves and building the best you. It really resonates with me.
And the fact that I'm committing a small amount of money and the fact that I'm actually trying to interact with those people means that I'm invested and means that I will keep it for the long run.
You have to be serious about yourself and what you want to achieve. And if you're serious about yourself, this is going to be such a fantastic platform.
London Real, sponsored by Bulletproof. Here we go. This is London Real. I am Brian Rose. My guest today is Alex Reid, the mixed martial artist, celebrity, and actor. You've been fighting professionally since the year 2000 for organizations like Cage Rage, BAMMA, and a brief appearance on the UFC's The Ultimate Fighter. In 2010, you won Celebrity Big Brother and also became famous for dating model Katie Price, aka Jordan, and later Chantal Houghton, with whom you have a daughter. These days, you're focused on acting, business, and your new MMA school in North London. Alex, welcome to London Real.
That was a very awesome introduction. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thanks for being here.
Listen, I'm really happy to be here. I've seen you done some great stuff with some fantastic people who I really admire. So
I appreciate that. Let me take you back 10 years.
98, I started professional
But let me
fighting.
take you back 10 years to 2006, Manchester. I go to the MEN Arena to watch a fight because one of my martial arts instructors, Murilo Rua of the Brazilian top team, he fought in Pride, he's up there cornering someone. I drive to Manchester and I'm in the stands and correct me if I'm wrong if this happened, but apparently a fighter pulled out. And said a fighter pulled out of a fight, right?
Yeah.
And apparently there was some guy there supporting one of his friends drinking champagne. And they said, will someone fight? And somebody stepped up who had been drinking champagne and said, I'll fight. And that guy was you.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
I don't know if that's big balls or stupidity. But
well, I don't know what it is, but you did it and you fought a 3-round decision.
With, I forget the guy's name. And that was a very silly move.
Yeah, and that was a silly move, but I think that it says a lot about who you are.
Yeah,
right.
Take the opportunity. To me, you've said this. I know you're a budding martial artist. I'm a martial artist, and fighting, or I don't even call it fighting. I'm a competitor, and I like to challenge myself. And we all love Conor McGregor and how he just took to the challenge against Nick Diaz, stepping up for several weights. That's what I want. That makes me alive. You get a lot of fighters, competition people, they want to protect their careers, so they take it careful. I was like, that wasn't a really good business move for me to fight having had a bottle and a half of champagne. But another part of me wanted to test myself. Hang on, I can do this. I'm a man, prove myself.
And that's a pretty unheard of move for people that don't follow MMA or fighting. Rarely does someone in the audience step up. I think one of the Holland Thai boxers did it one time in the front row, but this never happens because people, they fight 8-week camps, 10-week camps, they
crazy.
cut weight, they're ready, they're sure as hell not dressed to the nines drinking champagne in the front row, but you did that.
Very silly.
And I remember hearing you, I watched you fight, and I trained a little bit at London Shoot Fight, and so I knew about you over there. But anyway, I think that says a lot about you as a person, so I wanted to bring that up. And
I don't know if that says about, what does that say about me? That I'm a little bit crazy? I go for the challenge?
Yeah, it does. And like you said, we mentioned Conor McGregor, and I think the reason that he inspires so much kind of wonder and awe is because he keeps risking it and keeps risking it and keeps risking it. And to go from 145 to 155 to take on someone at 170 when he's got so much to lose, you as a fighter know, like, these are big moves to do. I mean, most fighters would never do that.
I've lived my life being an ex-paratrooper. You're sort of bred in the army, which is an elite fighting force. You're bred to win, to go out there and achieve and conquer and attack, and that sort of ethos is carried through everything I do. And like, let's go and attack life, attack life and go for the opportunity. Sometimes though, that has got me in a lot of trouble because that brazen, what doesn't matter. Let's have some fun. Let's enjoy. Let's have the challenge. Let's enjoy the ride. When you become a little bit older, as I am now, I have a child and I have a mortgage to pay and business ventures and family to think about. I think, hang on, maybe I should have been a bit more careful. So there's a tiny bit. I don't know if it's regret, but you look back and did I make the right choice then? But then at the same time, that Peter Pan, that kid who was so excited to go, and that vibrancy, the guy who's in the gym wooing, woo, come on guys, and everyone else was looking at him, the loudmouth, that's what's also has made me who I am. So I'm not quite sure where to sit with that.
Yeah, and I knew you before you became famous, for dating people and for going on Celebrity Big Brother. I knew you as a fighter. And like I said, I knew from London Shoot Fight, I knew you were one of the OG fighters there. Let's talk about fighting first. How did you get into it? Talk to me about MMA when you started back in the day. I mean, MMA in the UK... Vale Tudo, it was called.
Rings.
Exactly. You could argue it was 5 or 10 years behind the US.
Oh, yeah.
There was, like, London Shoot Fight, like in 02, 03, 04, was like the only gym in a 100-mile radius that I knew about in this city. And you were one of their...
Well, in 1996, I was a kickboxer back then, and I loved martial arts. I started doing Lao Ga Kung Fu, watching Bruce Lee films at the age of 14, 15. It wasn't about being a professional fighter. It was about learning how to protect myself against school bullies, and to emulate my childhood superheroes: Bruce Lee, Van Damme, Captain America, the superheroes I'd read about. It was just a natural progression. Being the youngest of 6, older brother being a super athlete, super sportsman, I was the run to the litter, so to speak. So I wanted to prove myself, and to do that, I thought martial arts was a brilliant outlet.
And how did that get into you fighting for a living?
the competitive nature, trying to compete against my brother the whole time, it taught me to have that warrior spirit and just to. He used to beat me up all the time. It was play fights, and you know, someone who's 5 years older than you beating you up, you're going to learn how to fight quite good continually. But he wasn't really hitting me, so with that background, going to the gym, a just natural progression that I want to be better. I want to fight, I want to compete.
What was MMA like back in 2005, 2006? I mean, can you make a living fighting in MMA?
No. Do you know what? I was going to say, I digressed. So I was fighting in competitions every weekend, maybe twice a month. I'd go travel up to Manchester from London, travel around the country to fight in these semi-contact or light continuous tournaments, and I'd have fight up to 5 times in a weekend. This is how serious I didn't take it. I'm a young lad. I'd go out drinking the night before, go and partying, pulling girls, and then go wake up in the morning with a hangover and go and fight. It was crazy. That was my life. It was
and win.
Because
you had talent at the time, which trumped.
Then as I got a bit older, I started to take it a little bit more serious. Hang on, these guys are getting a bit better, and I moved from semi-contact. For those of you who don't know what semi-contact, it's like tag. You're it.
Yeah. And
then this next step up is light contact. So you can't hit fully. You just like a little bit. There you go. And then it's knockout, full contact. And the natural progression from that is low kick, Thai boxing, and I moved to MMA. So in '96, I was a kickboxer who got selected just from my raw talent by the British kick jitsu squad to go and fight in West Virginia against the world. And I remember in the final, I got through. I had 5 fights. I beat Argentina, and then I had Canada. I can't remember who beat me in the semi-final, but I got armbarred. I didn't even know what an armbar was. So what was that? Crazy. And that became one of my best moves.
Right, so you then started training mixed martial arts at London Shoot Fight.
At London Shoot Fight.
When did you start training with those guys?
98. Wow, 98. Wow, that's nearly 20 years. I go in, I talk. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'm the anchor man for a lot of shows. And often, so where do you come from? I come from London Shoot Fighters. Do you? I've never seen you. Well, you're never there, Alex. I mean, I'm older. So I've still got, I mean, for me, I used to train twice a day, every day, all day.
What's the reputation of London Shoot Fighters back in the day?
It's a tough gym. It's a tough gym. And I've knocked some years off my life from some of the, not the fights, some of the preparation. You have to prove yourself in there. And I managed to prove myself. And I built up a really great relationship with my trainers and buddies, Alexi and Paul. They almost made me the gatekeeper. So if some young lad used to come in, right, Reedy, get ready, you're fighting tonight. This lad wants to go.
So they'd throw you in the ring with a few rounds, and you'd have to give him a beating. Let's see if he could hang with you guys. Right.
Yeah.
And
it makes you tough.
Yeah, Paul and Alexi do an amazing job, but it's always been a gym that's known as a very serious, hardcore work ethic. Train hard, spar super hard. I mean, there was no way.
It's changed now. It's changed now.
It's
changed now. You're looked after. I mean, Alexi's ethos is you still fight to kill and spar to kill, but he will at a heartbeat stop it if it's danger. We need to protect ourselves. So this is we had this argument. A lot of fighters saying, guys, we're getting beaten up. You know, we want to be prepared for the fight, not we don't want to go into the fight all bashed up. So they've changed it over the years. We're nicer, we're kinder, and we're all young guys, and we've been going for 20 years. So you can imagine we're learning. But now it's very refined. You look at the skill level of the fighters today. I actually asked Alexi. You've had Michael Venom Page, my mate, in here. He's
Michael trains
unreal.
At Shoot Fighter. He's amazing.
My best man was John Hathaway.
Excellent fighter, yeah.
Another excellent UFC fighter. Now, they were sparring, and I'm just watching them. Wow, it's exquisite. I said, Alexi, so 10 years ago, who's better, them or the new? I'm the old dog, the old guard. They're the new guard. He says, well, I think you guys were tougher because you're getting hit more. You had to be. These guys are the skill level, the moves they're pulling out. They're just, they're not getting hit, they're moving.
Yeah, the game has evolved in such a big way.
So much.
Yeah. Tell me about Lee Murray. Did you train with him? Because he was
Lee Murray.
infamous fighter at Shoot Fighters. He was around when I trained a little bit there.
Yeah,
Lee got, he had a fight in the UFC, and then he got into some fantastic adventures himself. Were you there with him?
Yeah, what should I say about Lee? Listen, there was he came, back in the day it wasn't MMA, it was cage fighting.
Yeah.
Valley Judo, no holds barred, MMA. I mean, I had fights under these rules. Rings, there was, you go from one competition, I'm talking 20 years ago, you go from one competition to another and the rules kept changing. No elbows, no knees to the head here. You know, you could actually do a rope escape, touch the rope and you have to stop. It was continually changing until the UFC, everyone started using unified UFC rules. So I met Lee on one of these events and he was doing pretty well and we were friendly. And then I was at acting school. I decided to go back to becoming a thespian in 2000 and I told acting school that I was going to give up fighting because they said, look, if you're really focused on being an actor, you've got to focus on acting, not martial arts. And what do you do as a poor student on your time off? Got no money. I went to a fight show and I said, again, a bit like the champagne, but this time I was actually reasonably fit, even though I wasn't training specifically for a fight. Do you fancy fighting tonight? Yeah. To fight Lee Murray, he was 2 kilos heavier than me. That was a big deal. 4 kilos heavier than me. I thought, oh, he looks scary. I can do it, Reid, you can do it. So I ended up fighting Lee at the Epping Forest Country Club. That turned out a little bit nasty. You can see that on YouTube.
Did you get beat?
Got severely beat, yeah.
He's quite a good boxer. He's
but
a great fighter.
I ended up winning.
Okay.
But it was a very messy fight. I actually got more hurt jumping out the ropes and running through the chairs as a mob was trying to attack me. A riot started. It wasn't the most pleasant experience.
Why did a riot start?
Because I won, and it wasn't that wasn't how it was supposed to go.
Okay.
But listen, after that, I became really, really pally with Lee and fully respect him. I was holding on to ropes like this, and he was trying to pull me off, and he was complaining, and he kept turning his back because, ref, what's going on? And the ref wasn't doing the right job, but I wasn't sure on the rules because there were certain rules where you can hold the rope. So he went furious, and the ref called it off. Someone threw CS gas in the ring.
That's incredible. And so Lee was one of the early fighters there, and he was a serious fighter. Again, I think he was one of the first shoot fighters to be in the UFC. Went there.
Amazing guy,
yeah.
Wow. And he submitted,
yeah.
I fought Jorge Rivera, but I think it was the fight or so before, and unfortunately he stopped me. It was the first time I'd ever cut 8 kilos in a day. Bad move. turns up to the fight and I was so tired. I didn't have a single thing in my body. I was really aggressive for like 30 seconds and it just blew out. He just stunned me. And then second fight later, he's in the UFC fighting Lee. Lee's triangled him. Well done, Lee. Amazing.
Yeah, incredible. And then Lee came back. I think he had got stabbed. And then he was known for going back to the London shoot fight, hitting pads like a week or two after he got out of open heart surgery.
I don't know how much we can say about that.
Yeah, I don't know. But it was something I always associate him with London shoot fight. He was an amazing fighter, but also, very, very hardcore, very serious. And those guys were known as, in my opinion, like the early adopters of MMA here in Britain and in London. And this was back before the UFC was big, before you could make a career as a fighter.
Yeah, really. And I talk about this when I do seminars. I say Lee was he had that Factor X. He was cagey, dangerous, and this isn't just fighting, it's entertainment, it's showbiz. And that's what I've always used. I've always said, not necessarily the best fighter's going to get paid the best. This is entertainment. It's not a real fight. A real fight's in a war. It's on a street. It's not nice business. This is entertainment. And he was great. He had that factor to really sell a fight. The little scuffle he had with Tito Ortiz, which I happened to be there outside China White's. There's lots of things I could probably say, which I'm not going to say, but it brought the whole excitement. People want to watch that fight.
Yeah, because he had that kind of X factor. Like, we didn't know, we were a little scared of Lee, and there was a rumor that, so people that don't know, that he had beaten up Tito Ortiz in a street fight. At the time, Tito kind of was the UFC. He was like the guy at light heavyweight. Huntington Beach bad boy. And so there was this rumor going around. The rumor was apparently true, but you were there, so you'll know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that
They'd
was...
make a great film one day.
Yeah, that would, right?
There's lots of stuff there.
What do you see now when you see where the UFC is today versus where you saw it back in the day, where Tito Ortiz is getting beat up next to China White? I mean, like, what's the big things that you notice about how far that industry has come?
It's unreal, isn't it? I mean, people, when you speak to them, the free... In this country, I'm kind of proud of this in some respect. When I talk about mixed martial arts, the general populace doesn't really understand what it is. They understand these three words in conjunction: UFC, cage fighting, Alex Reid. I ask this regularly, and please name another cage fighter in the country other than myself. They might get Conor McGregor now because they're just doing the crossover, especially in America. You see him on primetime TV, on talk shows. We're not there yet here.
Right.
But
so you're still more famous than Michael Bisping?
All day long. And I'm not saying that with pride, because to me, I almost feel like I'm doing an injustice because these guys are really... I don't even consider myself a celebrity. I did consider myself once upon a time a sports personality. But guess what? You've got to do the sport to be a sports personality. And I haven't really fought seriously, I haven't fought MMA in 4 years.
Right.
Wow.
Right. Let's talk about entertainment, because you said these fighters, they really are entertainers, and you were always big on the entertainment. Like, you like to make a show, you like to show people that you were out for a show. You also fight like a crazy man. I mean, you're fighting BAMMA against Wotton. I mean, I watched you fight 25 minutes. Man, there's no quit in you. So people can't... I remember seeing that fight, it was 2014, 2013, and it's like, you know, you are a very serious hardcore fighter to go 25 minutes throwing bombs like that.
There's in 300 plus fights all around the world with some of the best people, there's only twice I've wanted to actually kill the people. One was Lee Murray, and that's why it was such a brutal fight, and it wasn't really good when I went back to acting school covered in bruises. And the second one was Tom Wotton.
Why'd you want to kill him?
He said some rude things about me, and there was bad blood boiling for like 4 years. But after that, when you enter a cage or a ring or a contest with someone and you put everything on the line, in a weird way, you share something kind of spiritual with them. That sounds a bit hippie, but and there's a respect.
Right, so you weren't mad with him afterwards?
No. And the most annoying thing is when he came in, I really wanted to kill him. And do you know what he did? He touched gloves. Oh!
Took all your energy.
Proper dispower me.
You're not supposed to fight with emotion in the cage. Is that true, or you disagree?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I try not to look at your eyes,
right,
because I say look at the boobs, nipple line.
Okay. It's also good for center of mass.
But you got the whole periphery then, But I do. Occasionally it comes out. I'm a very emotional. I get a little bit crazy. In fact, that's not me. Actually, this person sitting here now, Alexander, as I think we know, I have a few alter egos. Alexander Reid is sitting here right now. I'm quite a fun guy, tiny bit nervous about saying the right thing in this interview. But the Reidinator, when I say the magic words, Prince Adam turns into He-Man, the Reidinator, he's crazy. I fight with emotion. I'm a different character. I take on a different persona. And I've indoctrinated myself for 20 plus years with hypnotherapy, with NLP, with EFT, mantras, to make myself this crazy character it's not real. I'm a scaredy cat, but when push comes to shove, I can transform into the Reidinator, and sometimes crazy stuff goes on. I like to say I fight without emotion, but
you do.
There's a lot of emotion there. I'm a big fan of Rocky, and it was always his heart.
A couple things of note that happened. I think on BAMMA, right at a weigh-in, you kissed one of the fighters on the lips. That was pretty naughty. That happened in Pride one time with Heath Herring, and he punched the guy, and it was like a no contest.
That was
So you didn't do it in the ring.
I did. 'Cause I was like, I was trying to raise pay-per-view sales, and
showman again.
They're showmen.
Yeah.
They're showmen. The difference between me and Lee is I'm acting. Other than there was 2 times when I fought Lee and when I fought Tom Wotton,
Right.
Everyone else, I'm being cool. I remember looking into Xavier Foupa-Pokam. He was a French champion. He's fought in the UFC a few times. And I give him a stare down. I looked in his eyes, and he looked back at me. There was a little boy inside crying. Oh my God, he's scary. You know, because until that cage door shut, so I'm not the Reidinator. At that point, I was acting.
Right. And driving.
Wow, he's scary.
Sales up. Let's talk about The Ultimate Fighter. I saw you do that first fight to get into the house.
Yeah.
And I knew about you, so I was like, all right, Alex Reid, I'm excited to see a fellow Brit, because I'm half British now, in the cage, and I was watching you, and you fought, but you were goofing around, as I remember. And I was like, Alex, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Why are you messing around? You could have easily been in that house.
Yeah.
We know you could have rolled with those guys, and yet it just seemed like you were messing around. What happened there?
What happened there? I lied to the UFC. I lied to Joe, what's this, the matchmaker?
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
It comes to me. Anyway.
Yeah.
So this was my third shot at Tough. The first time I was due to be on Tough, I got selected when Michael Bisping went, when I was in my prime. Yeah.
Which was the first season, I think, right?
Season 3.
3, okay.
And it was and I thought Dana White came to watch me fight, and I fought Daijiro Matsui, a pride fighter, and I got a vicious cut the day before I was supposed to fly out here. And Dana said, look, I don't think the Nevada State Athletic Commission are going to pass you with that cut. It's so vicious. Next time. Or do you know what? If you fly out and they pass you, I'll reimburse you. It was so bad. I mean, I had a cut before the fight. I fought Daijiro Matsui. In the changing room, I was super gluing my cut together. The first time he hit it,
right.
So
okay, so it's bad.
Second time, I was due to fight. I got picked for, I can't remember what season 6. He wanted me out there. I was contracted. I became the biggest seller for Cage Rage, who at the time had just sold to Elite XC.
Yeah.
Elite XC was bringing all the smaller shows away from the UFC to try and build a big conglomerate so they could attack the UFC. They're at war. So being the biggest ticket seller for Cage Rage in the UK, they weren't going to release me to the UFC. Third time, right? So this is my opportunity. I've made the weight, middleweight. They want middleweight, brilliant. Right at the last minute, they decide to cut the middleweights, and they're going to do it at welterweight. Reid, can you make welterweight? Of course I can. I've never done it before in my life. The first time I did it was the day I fought, the day before.
Okay.
So I had nothing. I remember I was cramping.
Really?
So it was stupid. I mean, I remember trying to wipe my ass in the change room. I was cramping.
Really that bad?
So I was scared. So all this bravado, all this, woo, relay time. Oh, I look at that and I cringe.
But you showed up, right?
It protected me. It was the crazy guy, the crazy fool. I didn't actually get hurt. I had him in a triangle for like 4.5 minutes.
Yeah, I
just didn't have any energy. Every time I didn't have anything.
Did it devastate you not to make the Ultimate Fighter TV show?
Yeah, it did. You just brought something back there. I was with a girl who I love dearly, and no one famous, childhood sweetheart, and we weren't getting on. But she, just after that, I was low. We split up, and I was not in a good place, miserable.
Right.
And it was literally just after that. Then I pulled my socks up, and I went back to kickboxing rather than MMA. Had 3 wins, and all of a sudden I'm feeling alpha male again. The Reidinator's back, and I bumped into some lady called anyway.
Called Katie Price.
Yeah.
and she was instrumental in you becoming
my downfall.
Forever. See, also with her and with you became the most famous MMA fighter in Britain, which is crazy because you were more famous than Bisping and Hardy and all these other people at the time.
Yes. And I remember having a little bit of a row with Hardy. And I was an avid supporter. I'm a big fan of everything UK MMA. And I was getting all this grief, and people weren't liking me, especially in the MMA scene.
Because why?
All of this craziness, all of being salacious, all this rubbish in the media. Everyone thought, they started comparing that if they're a cage fighter, they obviously like cross-dressing.
Right.
All this silly sort of jokes, and I'm like, we'll talk about the cross-dressing a little bit later.
We will get to that one at a time here.
But I can see I'm bringing a negative attention to the sport.
Right.
So, but I'm bringing attention,
Yeah.
and people say, I get this all the time, all press is good press. I don't believe so. I'm not a fan on that. I mean, I've kept very quiet for the last few years, and I could make lots of money selling stories. I don't want to do that anymore. I've sold my soul. I've done my deal with the devil. I don't want that anymore.
That was 2010, right?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
So I had a row with Dan Hardy,
Okay.
and he actually apologised, so I'm cool with him now.
Okay, because he wasn't impressed how you were representing MMA.
Yeah.
And so you had it out with him. Because let's remember, in 2010, it was really called cage fighting here in the UK. It was
There are no rules.
Yeah, it was really hard to explain to someone that it was mixed martial arts, there was Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, there was wrestling, there was boxing. It was just like they all threw it in. With organizations like Cage Rage and Cage Warriors, it didn't help the fact. Now you come along, you're dating Katie Price, who's a very, very famous model, celebrity, I'm not exactly sure. You are, you both love attention. I would argue to say you're both attention whores in a way.
Well, yeah.
And so you probably fed on each other.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you also had a great time in the same way.
Yeah. Listen, I mean, people, she used to say to me, I'm not trying to degrade her, I mean, that's all in the past, but she used to try and put me down by saying, people would say, you're fame hungry. Yeah, too right, I'm fame hungry. I love this. Well done, mate. I love that. And what got me to go to acting school, to train, I love the cheer of a crowd. Well, how to manipulate, to make an audience laugh, or the cheer of a crowd. I mean, I don't get up in the morning and train like a badass, or get in the cage for thousands of rounds of sparring against people where I'm scared shitless for no reward at all. My biggest reward, get a few pennies, but is this. Great.
Did you ever see yourself being launched into that celebrity that fast? Could you handle it at the time? But you could handle it to a certain extent because you're okay in front of the camera. You're like, I'm me. I'm going to be that guy. You're obviously all fighters are performers, so you had some experience.
I've been to acting school and I've done soaps. I was in a major soap here, Hollyoaks, 15 years ago.
Before you met her.
Sorry?
Before you met her. Right?
Yeah,
Okay.
and I've done dramas. I've done films, and I had a little bit of fame, but minuscule. Now, and I like that, so I thought this was great. All of a sudden, I'm everywhere. I could never, before I got with her, I could never understand why she was on the front cover of these magazines all the time. Roll on a couple of months, I'm like, wow. And the manipulation, I still don't quite understand it. The enigma of why. I remember saying I did the front cover of OK once, and there was speculation about my sexuality. I said, yeah, I'm really gay. I'm gay, and I said I might not be homosexual, but I mean, I'm very happy, play on words.
Yeah.
And I shouldn't say things like that because then the media would turn that and it doesn't matter what your sexuality is. But my point was there's people dying in wars, famine, there's real serious issues in the world. What does it matter what I do? And I could never, still to this day, I can't understand it. But we live in a very fickle, I was a soldier once to fight for freedom and democracy because I believe the strong should defend the weak. A warrior caste in society, I believe in that. But what we fight for now it's silly. And there's still so much stigmatization in society about how you should be, how you should behave.
But you also embraced that celebrity piece and you kind of enjoyed that.
Yeah. I'll call it, it's a double-edged sword. When it's great, it's lovely. Wow. It's a bit like, I replaced fighting, it's the highest high, the lowest low, with celebrity. I call it celebrity-dom. It's wow, it's amazing. This is like, I can imagine doing, I've never ever, no, I don't want, how do I put this? Imagine you're a drug addict, like crack cocaine. I've never ever touched crack. I can imagine it's pretty intense and it's pretty good for a bit, but then there's a real steep drop and it's pretty horrific. That's how I saw fame. And same with Katie Price. I mean, it was at one point, I was actually, my popularity was getting more than her. I actually got my first biggest TV show a week before I ever met her, but unfortunately, due to being with her, it was all overshadowed by all of the craziness, all the silly stories. And And as my popularity started to rise while I was with her, it just didn't like it, and so I had to go.
There's interview footage of like you at the UFC and Ariel Helwani's interviewing you, and you know she seems like she's trying to jump into the camera.
Yeah.
You guys seem to have a little competitive streak. That
Yeah.
works for some couples. Some couples that works for.
Didn't work. You know. We did Alan Carr, and she would always make fun of me. I'm not trying to slate her because we were just being jovial, and I would make fun back. She didn't like it, and so I'm like, oh. So after that, we never worked together again. And then, so I split up with Kate. We split up, and then...
That was a year you were married.
Yeah.
Was that ever going to last, or was it always going to be so intense and so crazy that it would have been really hard?
My dad's not here now. He just passed away, unfortunately. But my mum and dad, well, he is here. Thanks, Dad. My mum and dad have been married for more than 55 years. I'm the youngest of 6. Family unit is my default set mechanism. I love that, and that's what I crave. I've got lots of nieces and nephews, lots of kids around. So for me, I was very upset. I truly did love her, and I've have to ask myself that question many times. You know, why she was so horrible to you? I see interviews now. I'm like, what, you fool, Alex Reid? Why are you putting up with that shit? But I really did love her. I loved her. Was it the lifestyle? Was it the money? Well, there wasn't much money. I lost more money than I made money. Was it the obviously that was appealing. I loved the fame. That was appealing to my ego, being the centre of attention. But no, I remember saying to her, I wish you weren't famous. I wish you didn't have any money. Then we could actually just be normal. And there's part of me that craves the limelight, the glory, the adulation, and part of me wants to conform and shy away, and I think a lot of artistic people are like that.
Yeah, no, definitely. All right, we'll finish up with that. I still don't understand why the world is fascinated with Katie Price. I just don't get it. I never got it. No. I still don't get it.
I just went into a garage yesterday, and I was at the I've often been there, and my picture's on the front of one of these magazines, and I saw Kate and Pete, her other ex-husband, they're having a reunion. I was like, oh God, and I couldn't understand it, and it bothered me a little bit, only for the fact that I feel like I've been the pantomime villain in that scenario, and was I used and abused? I mean, it only lasted for like 2 seconds. So like, oh.
But yeah, you were kind of a character in that trilogy, love triangle, whatever. It was played, and it's been played out, and then afterwards, and you guys still exchange words back and forth between interviews. So,
and not any. Well, I am now.
Right.
I am now, but I mean, I try not to talk about it. I mean, I can't not avoid the fact that I was with her, but and it was part of my life. I don't wish her any ill harm. You know, just hope good luck.
Right.
It's a shame it didn't work out, but hey.
So now we see you, and then you move on to another model celebrity.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
I know, don't do it. And I thanks to you and cursed to you, I had to watch all this footage, Alex. So, unlike any other guest, I've had to watch more vacuous TV full of airhead models. But that's okay, and I feel for you. But you went on to, Chantal Houghton, which I know is the mother of your child, and so, with complete respect. But I see you in these media things, and I'm like, I knew Alex Reid, the fighter. I knew the guy that got up in 2006 and took a fight with champagne in his system, and I knew you were the real deal. And then I see you up there. Obviously, you like the limelight, but I know there's more to you than that.
Do you know, just going back on one thing, I put Dean Singer in the Ultimate Fighter House, and he's gone on. He had a couple of fights in UFC.
Okay.
He's a good fighter, and he did an interview for The Sun, launching his new MMA gym a year or so ago, and he was talking about, I had a fight with Alex Reid, and it's a shame because I knew him when he was a good guy, and now he's become a bit of a joke. That hurt me.
Okay.
I thought, so when you say that, I mean, you knew Alex Reid, the crazy guy who... I've always been a little bit crazy, but right now it's about being serious. But going back, I met Chantal. And you were going to say?
You kind of went from one really high-profile relationship to another. Was that tough? Was that always going to be a potential disaster? Was it time that you just kind of took a step out of the spotlight after that?
Like I said, if we call fame crack, and I don't like to use that word, but it is. It's an addiction. It was more addictive than anything I can think of.
And you got a huge dose right away.
Wow! Right. I'm like, I got off it. Oh, God, I'm clean, Katie Price. I'm clean. Oh. Ooh.
How long were you clean for?
Right, okay, so at the time when I was single, I was quite hot property. There was a lot of young celebrity type women who were approaching me, and
Yeah, and you're also not a bad looking guy.
yeah, and there's a lot of crazy stuff that surrounds me, but that kind of seemed to work for them, you know. Okay, I am a good guy, you know. And she approached me, and I thought, okay, she's nice, cool, we got it on.
And that was a few months after Katie.
Yeah, and there's about 6 months, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
So don't do it. She's just like Katie. Oh, but she's all right. She's sexy, you know.
To watch the rest of this fascinating interview, click on the link below and go to londonrealacademy.com. There you can sign in with your social media, log in and watch the rest of the episode for free, along with all of our episodes on London Real, my webinars, and all of our premium content, all located over at londonrealacademy.com. So click on the link below, you'll be directed there, and you can watch the rest of this fascinating interview, and I'll see you there.
I've been a little bit hyper, but the second I talk about my daughter, I just feel calm.